Did you know that just 10 minutes of reading in a very specific way can sharpen memory, boost focus, and even rewire the aging brain? So much so that some studies suggest seniors improve cognitive performance by nearly 200% compared to those who don't try it? I'm Dr. Howard Tucker, and after decades as a longevity doctor, I've seen firsthand how seniors who adopt this single habit often stay sharper, quicker, and more independent well into their 80s and 90s. And the best part? This isn't about brain games, crossword puzzles, or expensive supplements. It's about how you read. And a trick so simple you can start tonight. Reading isn't just a pastime. For the senior brain, it's one of the most powerful forms of neuro-exercise available. When you pick up a book or even an article, you're engaging multiple systems at once: vision, language comprehension, memory recall, and critical thinking. This multi-layered activation acts like a circuit breaker, keeping neurons firing and synapses strong. But here's the key: not all reading is equal. Research from the Journal of Gerontology has shown that deep reading, where you fully engage with complex material, rather than skimming headlines or scrolling on a phone, can dramatically improve working memory and processing speed in adults over 70. In fact, one 2017 study found that older adults who practice deep reading daily outperformed peers by over 200% on tests of recall and comprehension after just 12 weeks. Why does this happen? It comes down to something called cognitive reserve. Think of cognitive reserve as your brain's savings account. Every time you read in a focused, immersive way, you're depositing new connections into that account. Later, if aging or even early signs of dementia begin to drain those reserves, you've already built a backup system that keeps you sharp. MRI studies from Stanford and Harvard confirm this. When seniors engage in structured reading sessions, their brains literally light up in areas tied to attention and memory consolidation. Blood flow to the hippocampus, the region most vulnerable to aging, surges. This isn't just theory, it's biology in action. And here's where it gets fascinating. Unlike crossword puzzles or phone apps that train a single skill, reading taps into an orchestra of brain functions simultaneously. Vision interprets symbols, language centers decode meaning, memory links it to knowledge you already hold, and your frontal cortex decides what to do with it. This constant switching builds neural flexibility, the very quality that determines whether you'll adapt gracefully to age or decline. I've watched seniors who commit to just 20 minutes of mindful reading every evening report improvements in everyday life that go beyond memory. They find it easier to recall names at family gatherings. Their focus during conversations sharpens. Some even say their mood improves because their brain feels alive again. And the science agrees. Reading reduces cortisol, lowers heart rate, and strengthens sleep cycles, all of which indirectly boost brain performance. So, why do so many people miss out on this? Because they treat reading as a way to pass time, instead of as a tool to build brain power. But when you approach it strategically, using the simple trick I'll reveal in the next section, it transforms from entertainment into medicine for the mind. So, what is this mysterious reading trick that can double, even triple brain sharpness after 70? It's called active dual-channel reading. Instead of silently reading words on a page, you read while listening to the same material in audio form. For example, you follow along with a book while the audiobook plays in your ears, or you read an article aloud as you go. Why does this matter? Because it forces the brain to process information through two sensory pathways at once: visual and auditory. Scientists call this multimodal encoding, and it's been shown in brain imaging studies at Yale and the University of Toronto to dramatically strengthen memory consolidation. Seniors who practiced this method didn't just remember more details, they recalled them faster, with greater clarity, and for longer periods of time. Think of it this way. Silent reading is like taking a single photograph of a moment. Dual-channel reading is like taking that photo while also recording a video and writing a description. Your brain gets multiple layers of input, which means it stores the information in more places. If one neural pathway weakens with age, another can still retrieve it. That's the essence of cognitive resilience. Here's another secret benefit: neuroplasticity. As we get older, the brain's ability to form new connections slows down. But when seniors read and listen at the same time, it's as if the brain is forced to rewire itself more aggressively. One study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that seniors who practiced dual-channel reading for 6 weeks increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area that governs problem-solving and decision-making, by nearly 50%. And it doesn't just stop at memory. Seniors who used this method reported noticeable improvements in focus and attention span. They could follow conversations more easily, avoid distraction, and even complete tasks like balancing a checkbook or following a recipe with fewer mistakes. This is because dual-channel reading sharpens the brain's executive function, the control center that keeps everything else organized. Even more fascinating, researchers noticed that this type of reading improves verbal fluency. Seniors who read while listening to an audiobook began recalling words faster and expressing ideas more clearly. For those worried about tip-of-the-tongue moments, this is one of the most powerful remedies available, and it costs nothing but time. The beauty is that it's simple to start. You don't need special equipment, just a book and its audio version, or even free online articles paired with a text-to-speech app. Within the first week, many of my patients noticed they weren't just remembering more, they were thinking faster. That mental quickness, that spark of clarity, is what makes this trick so transformative. Now, I know what you might be wondering. How exactly should seniors practice this to get the maximum benefit? In the next section, I'll break down the step-by-step method, how long to read, when to do it, and the small tweaks that can multiply its brain-boosting power. Here's the beauty of this ritual. It doesn't take hours, it doesn't require expensive programs, and you can begin tonight. But to make it stick and to unlock its full brain-boosting potential, you'll want to follow 3 key phases: when to do it, how to do it, and how long to keep it going. When to do it. The ideal time for dual-channel reading is either in the morning when the brain is most alert, or in the evening just before bed when the brain is preparing to consolidate memories. Studies from the University of Sussex show that reading before sleep reduces stress by up to 68% and primes the hippocampus for stronger memory storage. So whether you're an early riser or a night owl, pairing your reading with either the day's fresh energy or the night's natural memory consolidation cycle gives you maximum impact. How to do it? Start with a book you actually enjoy. Novels, biographies, history, or even faith-based reading. The subject doesn't matter as much as your level of engagement. The trick is to follow along visually while listening to the exact same words through audio. If you prefer, you can also read aloud to yourself, which activates the same dual channels. What matters is that your eyes and ears are processing together. That's what forces your brain to form those stronger, faster connections. Now here's where it gets even more powerful. Don't just passively read. After every few pages, pause and summarize out loud what you just absorbed. Neuroscientists call this active recall, and it's one of the most proven techniques for memory reinforcement. Think of it as lifting weights for your neurons. Each time you recall without looking, you're building mental muscle that makes future recall easier. How long to practice? In the beginning, aim for just 10 minutes a day. That's it. Research shows that short, consistent bursts of focused reading outperform marathon sessions that leave you tired and distracted. Over time, you can build up to 20 or even 30 minutes, but the key is consistency. Remember, the brain thrives on repetition. Daily practice, even in small amounts, outperforms sporadic effort every time. And here's one more secret. Set a cue. Pair your reading ritual with something you already do every day, like having your morning coffee or winding down before bed. Behavioral scientists at Duke University found that when new habits are attached to existing routines, people are 60% more likely to maintain them long term. So don't leave it to chance. Anchor it to something familiar. Within 2 weeks, many of my patients tell me they begin noticing subtle changes: clearer recall of conversations, sharper focus when paying bills, even faster word finding when talking with friends or grandchildren. That's the first sign the ritual is taking hold. And the longer you stick with it, the more dramatic the results become. In the next section, we'll explore why this ritual works so quickly, what's happening inside the brain on a biological level, and how reading in this way actually changes blood flow, oxygen delivery, and even brain cell growth. When most people think about reading, they imagine it's all about the eyes and memory. But what's really happening goes much deeper. Every word you take in triggers an invisible cascade inside the brain, Blood vessels expand, oxygen delivery surges, and neurons fire with more intensity. Here's why that matters. After age 70, circulation to the brain naturally declines. Tiny vessels narrow, oxygen levels drop, and brain cells begin to struggle for fuel. It's one of the main reasons seniors notice brain fog, slower recall, or difficulty focusing. But when you read in the right way, especially with the dual channel trick, you essentially train your brain's vascular system like a muscle. MRI scans from the University of California showed that seniors engaged in active reading had a 30% increase in blood flow to the hippocampus, the region that governs memory and learning. That's like turning on a faucet of oxygen and nutrients exactly where the brain needs it most. And oxygen isn't just fuel, it's the spark that keeps neurons firing at lightning speed. What's even more fascinating is how this circulation boost interacts with neuroplasticity. Reading stimulates something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF for short. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your neurons. It helps existing brain cells form new connections and even encourages the growth of brand new neurons. Seniors who maintain high BDNF levels consistently score higher on memory and focus tests, and reading is one of the most reliable ways to raise it. But here's the hidden layer most people don't realize. Oxygen delivery is just as critical as the words themselves. When you're reading deeply, your breathing slows, your heart rate steadies, and your body shifts into a state where oxygen is distributed more efficiently. This rhythm primes the brain to absorb, store, and recall information with far less effort. It's why so many of my patients describe a kind of mental clarity after just 20 minutes of focused reading. It's not only the information, it's the biology of better circulation. And remember, circulation doesn't just feed the brain. It clears waste too. Every minute, neurons produce byproducts that, if left to build up, can cloud memory and even accelerate cognitive decline. Reading engages the glymphatic system, the brain's cleaning network, which washes away these toxins more efficiently. In seniors, this cleansing effect is a game changer. It's like giving your mind a daily detox without lifting a finger. One more piece of science that always amazes me. Researchers in Japan discovered that when seniors combined dual-channel reading with light movement, like walking slowly on a treadmill or even standing instead of sitting, the oxygen delivery to their brains increased by another 20%. That means if you choose to listen and read while strolling gently around your living room, you can supercharge the effect even more. So what does this all add up to? Reading isn't just a hobby. It's a circulation workout, an oxygen therapy, and a brain detox rolled into one. And when seniors commit to this ritual, their brains begin to feel sharper not because of magic words, but because biology itself is being optimized. In the next section, we'll talk about the early signs you'll notice when this reading ritual starts to work, the small, powerful clues that tell you your brain is truly waking up again. One of the most motivating parts of this ritual is how quickly seniors begin to notice change. Unlike some health habits that take months, this one often shows results in just a couple of weeks, and the signs are hard to miss. The first change many of my patients describe is sharper recall of everyday details. Names come to mind faster. The word that used to hang on the tip of the tongue suddenly slips out with ease. You remember where you left your glasses or what you needed from the pantry, without stopping to retrace your steps. These may sound small, but they're powerful markers that your memory pathways are becoming more efficient. Another early sign is longer focus. Reading in this dual-channel way trains attention like a muscle. Seniors who once found themselves rereading the same paragraph over and over suddenly realize they can get through whole chapters without drifting off. And that same concentration begins spilling over into daily life, whether it's following a conversation at the dinner table or finishing a task without distraction. Then there's mental quickness. Patients often tell me they feel faster on their feet in conversations. Jokes land quicker, responses come smoother, and they feel more present. That's the frontal cortex waking up, executive function sharpening, decision-making speeding up, and mental agility returning. Another subtle but profound change is emotional resilience. Seniors often report feeling calmer, less irritable, and more confident. That's not just mood. It's the biology of reduced cortisol and improved circulation at work. When stress hormones quiet down, the brain has more space to process information clearly and stay balanced under pressure. One of my favorite early signs is what I call the spark of curiosity. After a week or two, many older adults feel themselves drawn back into books, articles, or stories with a hunger they haven't felt in years. This renewed curiosity is more than pleasure. It's a sign that your brain's reward circuits are reactivating. Dopamine, the same chemical that fuels motivation and drive, begins to rise, making learning not just possible but enjoyable again. And here's one more unexpected effect: improved sleep. Seniors who practice the ritual at night often fall asleep faster and wake up with less mental fog. That's because reading before bed doesn't just relax the body, it helps organize the day's memories, a process the brain depends on to stay sharp. When you wake refreshed, your focus and memory naturally improve. If you notice even one of these signs, faster recall, longer focus, smoother conversations, calmer mood, or better sleep, you can be confident the ritual is working. These are your early indicators that the brain is building new connections, restoring circulation, and coming back to life. In the next section, I'll show you how to lock in this ritual for good, so the improvements don't fade, but continue compounding for years to come. Here's the truth. The reading trick only works if it becomes part of your life, not just a one-time experiment. The science is clear. Consistency, not intensity, is what builds long-term brain sharpness. So how do you make sure this habit sticks? The first key is anchoring it to an existing routine. If you always drink coffee in the morning, place your book and headphones on the kitchen table the night before. If you have a bedtime ritual, swap 10 minutes of TV for 10 minutes of dual-channel reading. Habits stick best when they're paired with something you already do without thinking. Researchers at Duke University found that seniors who anchored new habits this way were 60% more likely to keep them after 6 months. The second key is removing friction. Make the ritual easy. Keep the audiobook queued on your phone. Use large print books if your eyesight needs the extra help. Invest in a comfortable chair with good lighting. Every barrier you eliminate increases the chance you'll follow through. Think of it as clearing the runway for your brain to take flight. The third step is tracking your wins. Keep a small notebook nearby and jot down one thing you remembered more clearly, one conversation that felt sharper, or one moment when your focus lasted longer than usual. These micro-victories are your brain's way of saying, "It's working." And when you see the proof written down, it motivates you to keep going. Here's another powerful strategy. Share it. If you tell a friend, a spouse, or even a grandchild that you're trying this ritual, you're not just holding yourself accountable, you're inviting them to join you. Some of my patients have started reading clubs with their families, where grandparents and grandchildren read and listen together. Not only does it amplify brain sharpness, it strengthens relationships across generations. And finally, be patient with yourself. Like any exercise, the brain responds best to steady, repeated effort. You wouldn't expect to lift weights once and suddenly be stronger forever. The same applies here. 10 minutes a day, repeated, compounds into a sharper, more resilient brain. Lock this ritual into your life the way you'd lock in brushing your teeth. It becomes second nature, something you don't skip because you know the cost of skipping it is too high. And once it's embedded, the results only grow stronger with time. In the next section, we'll explore the long-term payoff of living this ritual every day. What decades of science and patient experience tell us about how far your brain can go when you give it this daily gift. When you first begin this reading ritual, the changes feel subtle, remembering a name, following a story more easily, or enjoying a conversation without losing your train of thought. But when you commit to it daily, the payoff compounds in ways that reshape the rest of your life. The most powerful benefit is protection against cognitive decline. Decades of research show that seniors who engage in regular, structured reading are significantly less likely to develop dementia or severe memory loss. In one long-term study published in Neurology, older adults who read daily lowered their risk of cognitive impairment by nearly 48%. That's not just a number, it's years of independence preserved. Another long-term payoff is mental agility. As you age, life keeps throwing new challenges your way. Medical decisions, financial planning, even adapting to new technology. Seniors who stick with this ritual find themselves navigating these situations with confidence, clarity, and speed. It's like keeping the gears of your mind oiled so they never rust. The payoff isn't just mental, it's emotional. Reading daily in this dual-channel way sustains levels of dopamine and serotonin that are directly tied to motivation and mood. Seniors who practice it long-term often report a deeper sense of purpose, curiosity, and joy in daily life. Instead of shrinking back from challenges, they lean in with energy and optimism. And here's something even more inspiring. Your brain stays biologically younger. MRI studies comparing seniors who read daily with those who don't show sharper neural activity patterns in the readers, patterns that look closer to brains 10 or even 15 years younger. In other words, this ritual doesn't just preserve memory, it slows the biological clock on the brain itself. Families notice too. My patients often tell me their children and grandchildren comment on how engaged and quick they seem, how conversations flow more easily, and how they feel present in a way they hadn't in years. These are the invisible rewards. Not just more years of life, but richer years of connection. And perhaps the greatest payoff is independence. When your mind is sharp, you make decisions with clarity, you manage your own affairs with confidence, and you continue living life on your own terms. That's the true prize of brain sharpness. It safeguards your freedom. Now imagine what happens if you keep this ritual alive for 5, 10, even 20 years. Every day becomes another deposit into your brain's savings account. Every page read, every audiobook followed, every memory recalled is an investment in a future where age doesn't define decline, but wisdom, vitality, and clarity. So here's the truth. The reading ritual isn't just about sharper memory, better focus, or quicker conversations. It's about proving every single day that your brain is still alive, still capable of growth, still capable of surprising you. You've seen how quickly the signs show up. You've seen how the benefits compound. But here's the bigger question. If a simple shift in how you read can transform your brain so dramatically, what other small, overlooked habits might be hiding in plain sight, ready to unlock even more strength, energy, and independence after 70? Because this is just the beginning. Reading may be the key that wakes up your neurons, but there are other daily rituals, just as simple, that can fuel your circulation, protect your heart, and even reverse years of decline. The question isn't whether these rituals work. The question is, are you ready to discover the next one?